What's the fastest route to go from a 9-to-5 developer to becoming a solo millionaire in 2026? Well, turns out everybody has it completely wrong. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the brand new playbook that software engineers are using to make their millions before the window closes. Without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Now, for those of you who don't know me, let me first explain who I am and why you should even listen to me in the first place. I wrote my first line of code back in 2016. That's me, part of my robotics team right there. After that, I went to UCLA to study the human consciousness, part of a summer program called the Elegant Mind Club. After that, I went to NASA as a computer engineering intern, after which I joined the private sector and worked at Fortune 500 as a software engineering consultant. I went from a junior dev to a manager in 3 years time frame, one of the fastest promotion cycles, raising my salary from $120,000 a year to $250,000 a year. After that, I quit to found my own AI consulting firm, AB Analytics, and in the month of October, we did $587,000 in revenue. Key point, revenue. I did not take this much money home. I just want to be upfront about it. And if you want to know more about me, my personal website, about.code2co.com. I skipped a lot of wins, even more losses, so if you want to know more, you can go there to learn more. Without further ado, let's get straight into how you can actually get rich as a software engineer in 2026. Now, before we talk about how you're going to get rich, let me first talk about what you should not do and what you should ignore, because there is so much advice online that is simply, in my humble perspective, completely dead wrong. And the reason I say that is because, remember, I had success in a corporate 9-to-5 environment. I had a great job, I had a great salary, right? And I left that to pursue something in entrepreneurship. So I understand both the employer side as well as the employee side. I know what works in both and I know what doesn't work in both. And I'm here to tell you that yes, you can get rich doing both. You can get rich in a 9-to-5 environment, you can get rich as an entrepreneur. It's way easier becoming wealthier in the entrepreneurship world. So I'm only going to focus on that in this video because frankly, it wouldn't be right of me to talk about a 9-to-5, me having quit my 9-to-5 for the very same reason. So I'm not going to get into that, but let's first talk about what you shouldn't be doing. So first and foremost, you should not be staying at a 9-to-5 if you are not A, learning/growing, or earning. Okay, so this is the first test you need to apply to yourself. If you want to be rich in 2026, right now ask yourself, are you either learning or growing in the current company you are at, or at least are you earning? When I say earning, I mean you're not living paycheck to paycheck and you can at least set aside $5,000 to $10,000 a month. If you are doing neither of these, you should either quit your job or pursue another one that will actually get you to do one of these things. Okay? Now, for a lot of you who are watching this video, at least according to the 2025 Stack Overflow surveys, right? A lot of you are already quite experienced. If I go to the experience section here of all the applicants that they thanked, 35% of developers responding to the survey have been coding less than 10 years, which means 65% of you have been coding for more than 10 years. So when it comes to this specific question of learning/growing, most of you are already far beyond this. You already have enough information, you've learned enough and you've grown enough. Now it's time to actually utilize that knowledge and put it into action. Stop being a perpetual learner and actually utilize the stuff that is in your brain. You might ask, okay, but I don't know anything about a business. I don't know anything about, outside of making money of a 9-to-5. I don't know what to do. That is fine. I'm going to show you that right now. But if you are part of that 65% where you already have more than 5 years, 10 years of experience, please, you do not need to go find another job to learn more. You already know enough, and I can assure that. So let's talk about what you should be doing if, let's say, you either quit your job or right now you're going to get into entrepreneurship. So everybody's telling you mainly one of three things, right? You either have the indie devs telling you to get into app development, you have the AI gurus telling you to build AI agencies, and then you have like the niche software people where they're either saying 9 to 5 employment route like Quant and things like that, or building apps for platforms like WAP or Shopify or whatever, or freelancing, right? It's really these main 3 categories. And funnily enough, I still don't understand how nobody's talking about the biggest opportunity. And this is exactly what I did with my firm. And you might think, oh, why is he sharing this? Because it literally doesn't matter. Like in this specific case, competition does not exist. Even if all of you watching this video go out and do exactly what I'm about to tell you, we will still have this problem on planet Earth. This problem will never go away, okay? It will never go away. And there is infinite money in this problem. This problem is the battle between the non-technical and the technical. Let me explain what I mean. In order to get filthy rich as a software engineer, you are going to need to bridge the gap between all the non-technical people and the technical people. Now, in your corporate environment, this is the gap between yourself, right, the developer, as well as your manager or upper level directors. Those who are trying to say, come to this stand-up meeting, or, meet the agile sprint, or do this or do that, and then you saying it can't be done in this specific time, you have to change this or that. The communication issues, the miscommunication essentially between you two. That is where the biggest money really is, because most of you who are already in the software industry know this yourself. The biggest problem isn't software engineering. It's not a lack of talent. It's not any of that. The biggest problem are communication issues. Being in useless stand-up meetings, or not talking about the requirements properly, or them being some other delay, right? It always comes down to communication between the non-technical and the technical. And the same exact thing applies to business. So when I first started my firm, I've said this once and I'm going to repeat this in every single video. When I first started my firm, I was mind-boggled by how many people did not know at least what I refer to as elementary tech. Meaning, I was meeting with business owners, let's say in their 50s or 60s, who could not use even, let's say, a normal smartphone, or at least not to the degree that it could be used, okay? I met so many individuals who had no clue what they were doing. They had such inefficient systems in businesses. They did not understand technology nearly as well as I understood it. And this, once again, these are elementary things. I am not talking about complex algorithms, or I'm not talking about machine learning models, none of that. I'm simply talking about regular good old software. As software engineers, we take our knowledge for granted, because most often than not, we grow up with video games. We grow up with coding from a younger age. We grow up with a computer or a phone in our hands. We grow up loving tech. That passion and love for tech allows us to kind of be immersed in it. And as a result, we consider that to be our norm, right? Our normative environment. But we apply the same lens with which we view technology, and we assume everybody else views technology the same exact way and has the same understanding. I learned that the hard way. That is not the case. And this is why the term technical jargon even exists, because a lot of times when you talk with stakeholders about tech stuff, they have no clue what you're saying. This is why I always mention too, connect your technical work that you do to business outcomes. But it is fundamentally extremely important for you to understand this point that I'm making. Most people do not have elementary knowledge of technology, let alone AI or anything more complex. So even us developers are having a hard time keeping track of AI and all the advancements. Imagine regular people who are not even aware of what their smartphone can do, okay? So the way to get filthy rich, and you can do this within, I would say, a good 3 to 5 year time frame, is identifying all the non-technical gaps in the market. And once again, even if all of you watching this video go out and do this, there will still always be problems, because there is just that much lack of knowledge in the world. Now, similarly to how I said they don't have elementary knowledge in technology, a plumber or an electrician, actually not an electrician, I have an electrical engineering degree, but a plumber or somebody else with their trade might come and tell me, hey, you have elementary knowledge in plumbing, and they will be right. So similarly to how everybody views the world from their lens, from their perspective. And only people in tech understand tech. People outside of tech do not know tech. And let me tell you, there are a lot of successful people outside of tech, okay? Everybody seems to think that all the wealthy people in the world have to be tech people. That is not the case. Do you know how many service-based industries, whether it's in construction, manufacturing, logistics, are making millions of dollars? I know so many salespeople that don't even know how to use a proper telephone or don't even know how to manage their email, making $400,000, $500,000 a year from selling solar panels and selling fences here in California. So once again, you need to understand that there is a world outside of tech, and most individuals do not know tech nearly as well as you think they do. Where is the opportunity? Where does the opportunity lie? If these same individuals were able to utilize technology to aid in their businesses and their everyday lives, they would make immense progress. However, they simply either A, haven't had the time or haven't bothered enough with it to actually go down that route. Because once again, tech people stick to the tech side, non-tech people stick to the non-tech side. You'll rarely see a software engineer going into blue-collar industry or going into blue-collar work. Very, very rarely you'll see that. And I'm not even talking about some of the really unique non-technical things that people do. This mindset of understanding that there's a world beyond regular tech is where all the wealth will be made for most people moving forward. Because what AI is going to do is essentially tap into this market. So let's say 15 to 20 years from now, if a business isn't using AI, they're just going to be out of business because all their competitors will be using AI, and AI will be equivalent to like 100x, 200x workforce, right? A lot more employees. But before we even get to AI, right? If AI is all the way over here, we are still like over here when it comes to tech adaptation. Once again, you are most likely living in a bubble. If you're a software engineer, I urge you, especially if you live in the United States, go out and talk to your local business owners. Do you know any lawyers in your, let's say, network, or just the law firm down the line? Any dental offices, any clinics, whatever. Talk to these professionals and understand how they are using tech. Most of them will probably have some random SaaS they're paying for to help with their tooling, but like a CRM or something like that. But when it comes to more of the delivery work that they're doing, or when it comes to a lot of other problems and challenges they're facing in a business, you will see just how little of an understanding they have about the tech and how it works. And frankly, they don't need to, because they've already proven they can run multi-million-dollar businesses, multi-billion-dollar businesses without having that knowledge, right? So that's my biggest thing here, identifying that gap. Now, the way I did it is I joined my Chamber of Commerce. I joined my Chamber of Commerce and I got to know most of the local businesses in my city. When I say local businesses, I did not discriminate. I literally went to the law firms, construction companies, dental offices, hospices, home healths, plethora of other things, logistics, manufacturing, in any industry you can think of. I simply just at least wanted to talk to one person in a unique industry. And after talking to, let's say, all those individuals, collecting my data, I understood there is just so much out there in the world that I did not know as a software engineer, especially when it comes to non-technical things. People are still able to make money without relying on tech, not too much. Once again, that was news to me. I thought if you were to make a lot of money, if you're going to be a millionaire, it needs to be at least somewhat tech-oriented. And a lot of that, our view is skewed by what we're seeing online, right? All the stuff you see on social media mainly has to do with technology, or at least internet money it's called. And yet there's a world outside of the internet where people are able to make a lot of money. And that's where you tap into. Now, that's not to say you shouldn't look for opportunities if they present themselves in the internet space. Of course you should. But no software engineer is looking at opportunities outside of the internet. I can guarantee you that much. I was the first person in my Chamber of Commerce here in LA that was a software engineer. Now, obviously more people ended up joining, but I guarantee you this will be the case in many of the cities around the US. And just because there are other software engineers, maybe one's a full stack guy, maybe one is only front end, one is only back end, and maybe I'm the AI guy. That's what it came down to. I was the AI guy, right? So end of the day, this is where the biggest opportunity really lies. Identify the local businesses in your city. Utilize your network as much as you can to go out and talk with these businesses and really understand their day-to-day. Understand what they do for work. A lawyer, what does his day look like? What does he do? What are the problems that he faces on a day-to-day basis? You will sometimes see, with a snap of a finger, what are they doing here? Why are they not using tech? I've seen that so many times. When it came to hospices and home health and pretty much any healthcare that I went to, any healthcare type of business, the billing and coding were a nightmare. They had nurses and people manually filling out all the paperwork, and I always thought to myself, why is this not being automated? This is such a simple software that you can write, not even needing AI, and you can solve this. Even a simple Excel macro can solve this. And yet, these individuals did not think of that type of a solution, okay? And why should they? They are not in tech. You're in tech. So it's your job to connect them to the technical solutions. You can't expect them to do it themselves. They're not in tech. That's like somebody coming and telling you, how do you fix this pipe or something, like a plumber coming and telling you, how do you fix this? You're not going to know anything about it because you've never worked with that. You don't know anything about that world. The same thing applies here, okay? So the best way you're going to get wealthy, right, or rich, whatever you want to call it in 2026, is identifying non-technical businesses and bridging the gap to the technical world. I highly recommend you start from a local scene and then move on slowly but surely. Every single one of the trades, right, whether it's HVAC, whether it's plumbing, whether it's whatever the case, construction, will have problems that you can solve with tech. And remember, many of you are grossly underestimating just how much money you can make from these type of businesses. You coming in and providing some type of tech solution that even saves 5 to 10% of what it is they're doing, a lot of the times these businesses are in the multi-millions a year. 10% of $1 million is $100,000. You can very easily take a percentage of that. And that's from one customer. Imagine if you have multiple. And every single city has multiple of these types of businesses because these are evergreen fields, right? Most of the non-technical businesses are evergreen. You will always need somebody to do your roof. You will always need somebody to build you a house. You will always need somebody to come and mow your lawn, right? You will always need somebody to come and clean your house. You will always need somebody to transport, from point A to point B, whether it's foods or groceries or whatever. You will always need somebody to treat you when you're sick. You will always need somebody to fix your teeth when it goes bad. All these things. You will always need somebody to represent you in court if you break a rule or something, or if you want a settlement. All these things, right? So please look into non-technical businesses. I'm telling you, this is where the opportunity lies, especially now with AI. If you can help these non-technical businesses, educate them, and act as a consultant for them to best choose what direction to take their business from the perspective of what tool to adopt, what tool to say no to, you will make a lot of money. Without further ado, thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was helpful. And as always, have a good one.